Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back from the OPTC video. In today's video, diving into the Power Alliance KIZUNA Clash against Kizaru with the teams I put out in the prep video. And obviously, I made some changes. I put out a YouTube post for you guys just to sort of tweak one of the teams because I did overlook a couple things. And obviously, I still overlooked a couple things because, like, Tensai KIZUNA lately has just been getting so ridiculously, like, frustrating and frantic to deal with when it comes to the level 30 plus. Now, it's a regular Tensai KIZUNA. Make sure you guys are doing all of your assists. Every 15 minutes, put up an assist. You use the suicide strat. As you can see here, I am requesting an assist so other people can do my clears for me. I still gain levels, they gain rewards. We all can get enough tickets to get the skulls from the exchange over for Kizaru. Now, they have removed the KIZUNA assists rewards, so you do need to make sure you get the skulls, but I think they've brought the skulls down. So as you can see, like box 1, I believe box 1 has a skull in it, doesn't it? No, maybe box 2. Yeah, starting box 2 has a jade crystal skull. So it's a little bit easier to get the skulls, but then they took away another way to get them. So a little bit annoying. It should just be all there. But like I said, we're going to go in and we're going to, thanks, Shira. We're going to go in and we're going to showcase the runs, showcase how the team's doing, and go from there. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. With that said, let's dive in. Alright, so let's start off with the Dex variation. Now, these teams, as mentioned in the prep video, can either use Bonney as a friend captain, or you can use a different friend captain. And I'll talk about the best friend captains to use for these teams if you're not using Bonney, but at the same time, like, you can pretty much run anything you like, at least up until level 30 anyway. After level 30, you kind of want to, like, specifically use the captain GIC on screen, but up until that point, you can pretty much just use any free spirit-based captain. So, starting it off, we're going to do the Dex with Bonney, the Sai versus Bonney, and then we'll dive into Dex and Sai without Bonney, and the team will remain exactly the same. For this particular team, though, I did overlook stage 2. As you can see, against Sentamaru, you actually get inflicted with the recovery conversion to damage. Now, if you do not remove that, then basically you get healed for 80,000 HP, which turns into damage, and because of the despair, it basically kills you. So you need to remove this. And the best character for this is Prince, Guru, and the Sword Donnies. Not only do they remove it, but they also reduce threshold by 90%. They give you an attack boost as well, and with Bonney extends attack boost by 1 turn, so this allows you to block the very low attack boost that gets inflicted on the final stage. This particular variation works very, very well because of Bonney as a friend captain extending that attack boost. Without extending the attack boost, it's a little bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit finicky, but at the same time, we'll talk about that once we get there. So Bonney's great there. She can also remove that as well herself, but for this team specifically, we're gonna save her for the final stage because she actually can give you territory, which will override the enemy territory, which is really, really nice. On the final stage, after level 30, you're gonna get inflicted with poison and block slots. This is where we use the Luffy special. Obviously, Luffy goes into the EX of Ace, so that works very, very nicely. He removes the poisons, he rotates the block orbs. Sabo and Koala give you an attack boost, they give you a color affinity boost. Ace gives you an orb boost, which all these characters extend for extra turns. So you've got 3-turn color affinity, 4-turn attack boost, 4-turn orbs. Sanji is going to give you a full board of recovery orbs because you get an attack down if you're not using recovery. I have the Jinbei support to lock slots, you get chain boundary, and then finally, because you have a chain boundary and an attack boost, Bonney becomes an advantageous typing for free spirits, and she becomes a territory user, which is very, very nice. Later, after level 30, you can only do 70% of the HP, so you are going to have to do some more damage on the second turn. So, like, again, having multi-turn buffs allows you to hit really, really hard, and obviously removing the territory, having the advantageous typing, and all of that just allows this team to just work very, very nicely. So, if you can find Bonney frequently, like, their team's just going to work for a very, very long time. But in the lead up to level 30, like, it's really not essential to have a Bonney or not. On to the next fight. I kept the team the same, but there's some things that I wanted to talk about. Now, I did overlook the fact that you get despaired before the burn, so the Luffy situation isn't going to remove the burn. So if you don't have the chopper support, don't worry about that. Just, you can remove it. It's not really going to do too much. I also overlooked the fact that Sanji's not a 3-turn chain boundary unit. For some reason, I thought Sanji was 3-turn chain boundary, but he's actually a 3-turn captain swap. So, yeah, just totally spaced on that regard. Now, this team, it's not perfect, and I'm not chuffed with it, but I don't really have time to fix it. So it's definitely going to work, and I think it'll work past level 30 quite, like, convincingly. But look, if you guys have any other thoughts and recommendations, let me know in the comment section below. Now, on stage 2, you get hit with hunger. It's 4 stacks. It's very frustrating to deal with unless you have characters that can remove it. No character can remove it in one go. The highest amount of hunger that we have is 3, and as you can see with Bonney, she can remove it by 3 turns. For this stage, we're going to use the Sanji special. He's going to give us base stats, he's going to give us a chain boundary, and he's going to give us a full body recovery orbs. He's going to captain swap as well. He gives you a chain boost. You can actually keep him as captain if you want to for the next stage, and then that way you don't have to use the Luffy special. So that way you don't trigger the interrupt for the chain boundary, but at the same time, like I said, where we are right now, up to level 30, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. Swap with Nami and Karina, so that way you get some G orbs, because as you can see, recovery orbs, you get a 90% attack down, and the attack down is pretty significant. Like, it's going to be hard to tap through that if you are using recovery orbs. And you are going to need at least one recovery orb, so that way you can deal with the hunger. So just be very mindful of that. On the final stage, you have to deal with despair, this threshold. You still have the attack down below a certain chain. Recovery orbs get turned to damage, and then there is a burn. Now, the burn's very annoying because you can't remove that with your captain because of that despair, unless you run a despair and like despair moving captain alongside Luffy. Then you could probably get away with it. But on the final stage, to remove the threshold, we have Nami and Karina. Nami and Karina can also remove the attack down that gets inflicted after level 30. So that way you can use Luffy on the previous turn if you really want to. Nami and Karina give you an overrideable orb buff, which is great. So that way you get the conditional buff with Ace and you inflict the burn. This actually helps out a lot, especially in the early stages, because the burn basically just kills Kizaru on the revive. The revive's always coming back at a fixed damage rate at 1 million, I believe it is. So you don't need to really worry about, it might be 10 million, can't remember. But basically you don't have to worry about the second turn with this team because of the burn mechanic. The burn is going to scale with the attack of the enemy, and because the the revive is always fixed at a certain HP pool, you're always going to be able to kill there. Now, as you can see, I used the Luffy special. That gives me the chain boundary effect. If you use chain boundary, you get slot bound, and then you also can only tap with 4 units. Honestly, having the chain boundary, and then if you use like the Sanji ability on this turn too, it's just going to allow you to just kill a lot easier, and then you don't have to worry about the burn at all. So honestly, I would just cop it. It's only on sailors, and Sabo Koala are actually immune to slotbind, so you can just bypass it on them. They're the ones hitting hard, and it just works out really, really nicely. So works a treat. The team works great, and it should clear past level 30, even with that little bit of a hiccup of using a chain boundary effect. Moving on to the non-Bonnie version of the run. For this team, the best friend captain you can use is Verse Luffy, and I figured using Verse Luffy is really easy because obviously we have Verse Luffy as the friend captain for the other team, so kind of going into the assumption that you guys have the unit anyway. But if you don't, any territory user will work fine. You could use the Strength Luffy. He's another good one. The New Year's Luffy, we actually use him for the next fight. Just trying to think of other territory users that you could use that are just free spirit centric. There's not like a whole heap, but at the same time, like I said, any territory user just to override the enemy territory is going to be the best option. So again, Verse Luffy is going to be the best shout for this. Once again, we use Prince Giro on stage 2, that lowers the threshold, bypasses that recovery debuff, which is super annoying. But for this particular turn, we're actually going to swap with Sabo Koala and then use the Sabo Koala special. Now, make sure with this team, you are using the Guru special first. Otherwise, you're going to get hit with the 80,000 heal, which turns to damage, and you will die. I actually was like, oh, I'm going to be really smart, and then use the EX Ace to block the attack boost. No, I died. got hit with that heal. See you later. I was dead. So sucks to suck, I guess. On the final stage is the paralysis, the territory, all that fun stuff, damage reduction, which Sanji takes care of. There's poison orbs, and there's block orbs that we have to deal with too. So that's a little bit frustrating. You could use the Luffy special first here, so that way you get a better chain boundary. That's definitely going to work in your favor, because you're not worried about rotating orbs. You want to have recovery orbs, so that's why using Sanji after the free-to-play Luffy is essential for this sort of team. But for this particular variation of it, you can actually use the Verse Luffy special first, override the territory, get the conditional buff, do all that fun stuff. However, the enemy has full immunity and you don't have increased damage taken, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, like, you just don't have to worry about it that much. Like, it's pretty easy to sort of get through, at least up until level 30. After level 30, when the HP starts scaling and all that sort of stuff, it might be a little bit more challenging, but at the same time, like, it's going to be absolutely fine from here. Moving on to the next fight against Sai. This time we are using the New Year's Luffy as our friend captain. Now, you don't have to use New Year's Luffy. Ace Yamato would work absolutely fine. Any character that has hunger. Carrot and Nami is a really good one. They have type advantage as well. I just went with Luffy just to sort of like go with a character that a lot of people either have or chased. But just any character that's going to give you 3 stacks of hunger, it's just going to make the run a lot easier. And the reason it makes the run a lot easier is so that way when you get to stage 2, when you swap with Nami Karina, you actually get 3 G-Orbs. I was always under the impression that it was 2 G-Orbs, but yeah, you get 3. So you are going to want to try and remove some of the hunger stacks before you actually tap with said recovery orb. So on stage 2, we're using the Sanji special once again. You can super swap with Nami Karina first. I don't know if Sanji rotates G-Orbs. He might. He might rotate everything except Tandem, if I remember correctly. You can use his superclass here. Look, I would save the superclass for the final stage, but look, that's just me. I'm just using it here to showcase that you've got plenty of damage regardless. But that extra chain boost is actually pretty damn handy. Swapping with Nami Karina is going to give you the G-Orbs, and then that way you can tap with your Saber Koala and your Ace unit. That way they're just hitting fairly hard to not be affected by the Recovery Orb debuff. Now, as you can see, you do need to eat a Recovery Orb, though, to remove that last stack of hunger, and then you're pretty much good to go from there. You could throw down, like, a Verse Luffy special there if you really want to as well. Like, that's going to work out pretty fine. But as for everything else, like, yeah. As for everything else, you just... yeah, you have the damage. On the final stage, there's Despair, Threshold again, Recovery Orbs get turned to damage, burn, and then later down the line, there is something else. Can't remember what else there is. Can't remember for the life of me what else is there. Let me know in the comment section below. But there's some more shenanigans waiting in the wings for level 30 plus. But attack down. Nami Karina removes the attack down and the threshold. Ace is going to give you a full board of Dex Orbs, so make sure to use Ace before super swapping with Saber Koala. You lose out on like getting a bit of a bigger color affinity boost, but having those Recovery Orbs is going to help out a lot. I think you actually need Recovery Orbs, otherwise you get an attack down with every other orb. So, oh no, there's a barrier, that's right. There's a three tap Recovery Orb barrier, so you need those Recovery Orbs. So you're going to like not be able to use the Verse Luffy special on this final stage here. Totally forgot about that. So that's definitely something to note for the other variation as well. You're not going to want to get slot binded because there is a barrier that's going to make it very, very frustrating. So definitely don't use the threshold, what's it called? The chain boundary of Luffy. Just use Luffy on the previous turn, so that way you get the carryover of the territory. Nami Karina removed the attack down anyway, so like you're okay. And then there's no like, you do have the attack down if you're below a certain chain boundary, but with the super class of Sanji, you should be able to crack that with the extra chain boosting effect. But they're the runs, they're the teams. Hopefully they help you out. If they do, but like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let's